Pipe Network presents.
This episode of the Rajiv Show, we are going to take a deep dive on a little bit of journaling here, but it's a mixed with something that I learned from Twitter. So if you're curious to know what it is, come join me. Let's have some fun, shall we? Let's go. Hey folks, welcome back to the Rajiv Show. My name is Rajiv Doreswamy, and this show we talk about philosophy, motivation, and journaling, not in that particular order. But in this segment, we are going to talk about my creator journey and how I started this podcast 4 years ago, 3 years ago, technically, 4 years this coming April. And it's going to be fun. Basically, I didn't really journal myself through writing, but I journal myself through memory, and I would like to put that memory into this video and through the upcoming segments that will come with this series called Creator Journey. But before we get into the episode, of course, I would love to invite you to my newsletter where you get weekly updates on when the newsletter is. Of course, YouTube, Spotify. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe over on YouTube. And if you're watching this on Spotify, guys, click that follow button. It longs for love since we just passed Valentine's Day. So now let's get into the meat and bones of this episode. This is Creator Journey Part 1, the genesis of it all. And my purpose for this episode was because lately I've been scrolling to Twitter, I mean to say, and I've been my circle and the algorithm that's been pushing from Twitter, or X now as they call it, thanks Elon, is it's more on my circle. The algorithm is pushing conversations on podcasting. So I was inspired by Twitter's algorithm, what algorithm it was pushing me to, let's say, teach what I know, of course, through everybody who wants to start. This is a basic beginner course on it's a free basic beginner course on what to do when you're starting out a podcast or starting out a vlog, basically anything that has to do with content creation, because like I said, the main title is of course Creator Journey. So of course, the benefits of creating a podcast or a vlog, you gotta at first, for me, if I look back when I started out this journey, I would love to share the fact that I did not know anything about podcasting, first of all. And I didn't even know what podcasting was. All I knew was I wanted to speak, and my first episode I created was basically something simple. I hope Anchor doesn't remove it, because it was one of the times when Anchor at the time was becoming popular, of course, when it was owned by Gimlet. That was the time where everybody was hopping on the trend of podcasting, and of course it died down. And then around the pandemic, of course, 2020, that's when I decided to revive the show. Again, I had no idea, which to me is a good thing. I consider that a benefit, because as you age in the process, you begin to form some form of identity out of nothing, and it's good. But for those who are beginners and who have an idea of what you want to do and how you want to execute it, I mean, go ahead. It's best to start rather than start with or without something, rather than not doing it at all, because that is actually what benefited me down the long term. And then as I created first season, second season, third season, and third season, I wanted it to be more like a journaling thing, because I wanted to journal my thoughts through my podcast. Of course, at that time, I was not comfortable being in front of a camera. So what I did was I had to do it all on audio, which is all available on YouTube and on Spotify. And then, of course, from then on out, from season 2 and season 3, I continued to push the podcasting. What else, you know? And I still didn't have a plan. And I'm gonna get to the plan part later. So what I did was, I wanted to do something. I wanted to create an interview kind of style thing, and I was just thinking about what it's gonna be. And I've been throwing down ideas. Of course, at that time I was so excited. I had so many things that I wanted to do, and the only thing that I thought of at that time is a cup of coffee. So I did the Let's Talk series, which is one of my favorite series that I've ever done, and it's still the highest by numbers that I've done in terms of episodes. And I'm hoping this series would beat that. And I wanted it to go to 100, this series to go to 100. So I did Let's Talk series, and of course, I want to talk about that in a detail on how I created that series and how it helped me be more authentic, and how it gave me a lot of insights on saying I want to dissect everything that I've done in the Let's Talk series. So later on another episode in this segment, in this series segment. And then, of course, from then on out, around 2022, I wanted to do adulting. So I mean, I had no choice but to do adulting. And then I decided to I had to work. So after that, I got laid off of work. I mean, I just only stayed there for 2 months, and I got laid off. Of course, I was back in the field of the unemployment, so I had more time in my hands. So what I did after that basically gave me the opportunity to finish. And for me, I'm a numbers guy. I mean, I'm a numbers guy in terms of lucky numbers and all that stuff. For me, my lucky numbers are 9 and 5. So I was looking at the seasons that I had, and I looked at it and I saw that it is the fifth season. So this time I wanted to do a different version of what I was doing with season 4. And I thought of a theme, reflection, looking back. And of course, my first four episodes from season 5, I tried to do it on my own. And I enjoyed it. I mean, I tried a different strategy in the marketing, which we'll talk about also. And I did I did my best, and yeah, and then I closed up season 5, I think the end of uh, 1 year ago. And then I took a long hiatus. This is where things got interesting. It's okay to be consistent, but it's also okay to take a step back, look at everything, assess what you've done, and look at it with a fresh pair of eyes, because that is where you can build your own, because you have data, and you have data to work with. So now, where can you take this data and take it to the next level? So that's where the benefits end. It was that excitement, that vibe. It's all good, it's all happy, it's all high up wave. Now we go down to the downside of it. The downside of it is, if you really don't have a vision or anything that is linear to what you want to achieve in your podcast, the downside is, of course, burnout, lack of passion, lack of everything. It all falls down. And when it falls down, when you come down crashing, believe me, pal, it is not the kind of crashing that you want, because it's equivalent to losing a job. Because majority, based on observation, this is one thing that I've learned. Um, when I joined the community of Philippine podcasters here in the Philippines, we grew exponentially during the pandemic. But the downside of it was, 2 or 3 years down the line, the people that I was associated with began to start falling off. And I don't really have anything to say against them. I mean, of course, life came back, because the pandemic, the vaccines, everything had to go back to normal. I won't blame that. It's circumstance. It's understandable. So yeah, I mean, there were a lot of people who were truly passionate, love podcasting, all that stuff. They gave their all, and then they did at least 2 or 3 years, and then pod faded. That's the word that's been circling around, and I just learned that word few months after I realized that a lot of podcasts pod fade after 3 or 4 years, and I surpassed that, which is kind of weird. I'm still doing this, and I started in the pandemic, and I'm still doing this. So my consistency is based on my passion for speaking and, you know, getting messages out there about motivating, and now I'm getting into the philosophical side and the journaling side. So I still do not know where the vision of my show is, so I'm opening up doors which hopefully will lead me somewhere down the line with the show. And yeah, that was the downside of getting a podcast show with no plan and no direction, and you're easily demotivated by the things that you do. So yeah, I mean, the only solution to that is, of course, goes to these advices that I'm gonna give you. So the first advice that I would give you is, people would say niche, and for me, I find it a little bit hard, because if you are a person who has so many interests, so many things, so many passions that you want to talk about, it's very hard to quantify something. If you're like me, it's very hard to quantify one subject and just be focused. There are some people who have that ability. Believe me, I won't shit on them, because they have the ability, and they have the focus, the laser focus on getting on one topic and going on one topic, which is fine. But for me, I'm not that kind of thing. I love movies, I love TV shows, I love philosophy, I love video journaling, which I believe is going to be a new thing with through podcasting or vlogging. So I I I love all these topics. So I again, during my third year, I took a step back and I looked at the three topics that I was truly passionate about. And like I said, I just want to open these three doors, and hopefully one of these doors would lead me to a business purpose, or a purpose that would make me take my life to the next level. And that's my vision for my show. Uh, and yeah, so that is my one advice is, if you are if you are a person who has so many interests and you cannot really niche down, it's best to start something and start somewhere. Start from one topic, or start from those three topics, mix and match. That's where you build your own niche, because you have your own idea of combining entertainment and music, or entertainment and podcasting. That's where you build your personal brand. Again, another episode we're going to talk about. And then yeah, so you just go with whatever your gut tells you, but you have to make sure you got a plan. So that's my second advice. Plan it out first. Sit down with yourself, plan it out. What topics are you passionate about? I want to share this idea that I learned from Vanessa Lau, and she made this content matrix. I'm going to put her link here on that. So she has this how to get ideas, and this is for YouTube, by the way. I'll put the link on the description on Spotify, where you can come up with so many ideas out of this matrix. I kind of tweaked it a bit and made it my own. If you want to know about that, I'll make an episode about that. Just leave your thoughts in the comment section on YouTube. Let's make it happen. So yeah, so you have to have a strategy, you have to have a plan. That's advice number two. Take a step back, look at, if you've already started and you don't know where you are, your direction, let's take a step back, look at it, assess it, get the data, gather, audit your content, audit whatever you need to do. Make sure you have the data and you said, okay, this works, that works. Compare and contrast. So getting all that, getting data, content strategy, and just keep going. Keep going at the pace that you are comfortable with. So number three is, consistency is good, but there's a catch. Be consistent with yourself first, because if you are not consistent with yourself, then you cannot make a promise to. It's like a relationship thing. When you're building something, you have to go 110%. But then, of course, you should know when take a step back and say, okay, I need to rest from here. Because I noticed that there is a new trend where a lot of the favorite YouTube content creators have been burnt out and took a hiatus, like Vanessa Lau, I mentioned earlier, and some of these popular YouTubers. They really took a sabbatical because sometimes creating content is exhausting. It goes to the point that you, as a creator, will lose your identity with your work, and the only way you can do that is taking a step back. So you have to take a step back. And this is like advice for the beginners, because if you are a professional, I'm sure you don't even need to be in this show because you already know what you're doing. But for the beginners, take a step back and learn to strategize your way without burning out. Because if you can do that, you're set. So yeah, if you want intermediate stuff, I mean, I can also do intermediate stuff because I'm already on my way. I can journal my thoughts and share my thoughts. You can share your notes. We can exchange stuff and build a community. Because I'd love to help. That's my passion. I'd love to help. It doesn't matter who you are, what race is or what belief you are. I just want to help you, and I just want to have a conversation. And basically, I've been here at home a lot, so I haven't seen human flesh in a long time. So yeah. And yeah, so those are the three advices. I forgot what the three advices were, but my three advice is, I know the second advice is having a plan, getting started, and being consistent, but you should know your limits. So if you want to know more, let me know what you want to know more. I would leave the question right down below. And good luck if you guys are starting out this year, 2024. Guys, get started. An opportunity is, if you miss the opportunity, you will never get it back. And time is precious. Treat time as an asset. Don't treat it as a liability. With that in mind, this is a very long episode. I love it. I love the energy that I'm giving here. I hope to make more segments like this helpful. If you find this episode helpful, give it a thumbs up. And with that in mind, folks, cheers, and I will see you in the next episode.